Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You are listening to The Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute. Here are your hosts, Alan Sanders and Walt Murray.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute, a podcast that celebrates the films of Gene Wilder 1 minute at a time. And for season 2, we are looking at the movie Blazing Saddles 1, or are we just jerking off minute at a time? I'm your host, I'm Alan Sanders.
I'm your co-host, Walt Murray.
And two guys who have the expertise we need on that subject to join us are the guys from the Rocky Minute, Doug Greenberg and Jason Haynes. Welcome back.
You could always assume that I'm jerking off. At any given moment, of any given day.
I could tell Walt thought it was safe to take a sip.
Well, that almost got bourbon all over my computer.
But hello, and thanks for having us back.
Jason, welcome back to you too.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you been?
Now, you know, that phrase...
What phrase?
That phrase, hasn't it always meant to just be screwing around, just kind of doing, silliness? Stop jerking around. Stop jerking me around, you know?
I use it that
Are we
way.
just jerking off?
That's different.
That's different?
Well,
jerking
is it
around
really?
and jerking off, yes, they're different things.
I feel so bad I talked to the kindergarten class that way.
Well, I say that about my kids sometimes, like when, my wife will say, "Where are the boys?" And I said, "They're jerking off somewhere."
That's not what
It
you
doesn't
should
mean
say.
that they're jerking off. It means that they're playing.
It means they're jerking around.
Yeah, jerking around.
There's difference.
Oh, I thought you were saying there's only one definition for it.
No, jerking off means jerking off. That doesn't mean, doesn't it?
No, but I would use it as jerking around.
But you shouldn't. You're talking about children.
You mean you can't
If you
mean it as being screwing around?
If you were like walking past your house in the springtime, so the windows and doors are open, everything's nice, and you overheard, well, you're not walking past your house, you're walking past someone's house, and you heard someone say, "Where are the kids?" And the other person goes, "Oh, they're in the other room jerking off." You wouldn't be like, "What? What the fuck kind of house is that?" There's no other meaning for jerking off. Jerking around and jerking off are two different things. Let's look it up.
I'm going to say
I'm gonna look it up.
false. I don't think you're up with the Urban Dictionary, because although jerking off could mean to masturbate, it also means to procrastinate, which means screwing around. You're jerking off.
I gotta tell
I put
you, though,
jerking off.
if
Jerking off in my browser.
Now you got to be very careful.
I don't think I want to click on any of these.
Well, if somebody says that, I'm giving that person a wide berth anyway. I'm gonna just assume that I don't know. I don't even know what they're doing.
Well, you've never heard that expression for meaning screwing around or wasting time? Stop jerking off, get back to work?
Maybe, but if I did, I guess I've assumed the wrong thing about somebody.
Hey, Alan, a.k.a. Future Doug. This is just Walt, a.k.a. Future Jay, and current Jay being the same person. That's all it is.
That's exactly what we're seeing here.
I'm reading Urban Dictionary's things for jerking off, definition for jerking off, and none of them, like, yes, one of them is to procrastinate. So what were you doing all day? I was jerking off all day. To procrastinate, but none of them mean jerking around. You're meaning jerking around like when you say your kids are in the other room jerking off. You don't mean they're procrastinating. You mean they're just fucking around, like doing whatever. That's not one of the definitions.
Usually they're doing that because they'd rather do that than what I told them to go do.
The fucking
This isn't Rocky Minute. You got to tone that down.
Actually, I'm sure you probably already know this, but on Urban Dictionary, the definition for jerking off uses the quote from Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
That's another reason I wanted to reference that very quote to start with.
Well, the first one, "Stop jerking off in my classroom, Billy." What school is this?
Yeah, that kid's not staying in class very long.
Or that teacher's not staying there very long today. To use that phrase for a kid who's just kind of procrastinating. Everybody else is getting their work done. Stop jerking off.
Well, I've always heard like screwing around or whatever having
That's jerking around.
multiple meanings, but jerking off has always had one meaning to me.
Only one meaning for you, Walt? Is that it?
That's it.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, there we go. See, this podcast has served to educate the masses further. It does also mean to procrastinate, or people who are doing anything other than what they're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
which may work for both
you know,
definitions.
you made that doesn't fit. Procrastinate is not. Oh, yes, it is. That actually is
Yes,
procrastination.
it is.
Not doing anything but what I told you to
Yes. You actually define procrastination. Okay, fair enough.
But I do love that the Urban Dictionary, as an example, they use this exact quote that we're going to get to in this minute today. Oh, Lord, do we have the strength to carry out this mighty task in one night? Or are we just jerking off? It's awesome. So I figured that would open us up because you guys are very familiar and you've used it a lot actually through your Rocky 2 season. And I think you used it several times in Rocky 1. We actually thanked you multiple times for introducing us to Urban Dictionary for our own podcast. So we had to, in honor of you guys, bring it up.
Did you see definition number 6? The act of consuming delicious beef jerky snacks. And the sentence is, my mom asked, how did you eat that stuff after she caught me jerking off last night?
But that means eating beef jerky.
It means, dude, I have jerked off in the beef jerky store. With the samples. They have samples all over.
I didn't even think about that. I've been in Jamaica and I jerked off on that chicken for a while. That's a Jamaican jerk chicken. That was really good.
Actually, we had something the other day. Me and my wife jerked each other off. We fed it to each other.
And then we fed it to each other. Exactly. I cannot wait to see how this comes out.
This episode's going to be 13
I was talking
seconds.
about the edit.
When you said at any given moment you're jerking off, and I was like, that's not true because I only jerk off half of my life. The other half I'm eating beef jerky. So now I too am jerking off at any given moment in time.
There we go.
Wow. That's dangerous.
See, Alan, I was going to thank you for all the shout outs you gave us when you would reference Rocky Rocky Minute when you went to Urban Dictionary. But Jay just took us on another tangent. So,
all right, we want to get back to.
But thank you for the references for the shout outs.
That's all good. Well, let's go ahead and tell everybody where we are here. It's a Tuesday. We are in minute number 77. We've got the guys from the Rocky Minute, and we start this minute with Olson Johnson finally caving in. Oh, prairie shit, everyone. But we're going to end with everyone looking proud at their accomplishment. So let's go ahead. This minute, not as much dialogue, but there is a lot to actually see, and that's happening in this particular minute of the movie. And let's go ahead and start off right away with the final. For the first time, Walt, we are actually seeing that divided line that we talked about yesterday is being filled up as they decide to 100% finally, 77 minutes into the movie, the town of Rockridge is going to embrace everybody else that they've thought beforehand wasn't worth their time.
Well, I'm glad the Irish finally get our redemption here.
Your descendants.
That's all you're going to say.
Well, I'm a man of few words, as you know.
We've got this wonderful moment of blending everyone together for one common cause, the melting pot that is supposed to be diversity, and you only think about yourself.
I was thinking of my ancestors and the potato famines that they suffered through.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
What's up?
I was going to say this before, but then I got a text, so I didn't listen to anything you guys just said. I was answering a text message, but I did also look up jerking around because we were having the conversation. What was the difference between jerking off and jerking around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Jerking around means that someone is behaving like an asshole and not listening. So that's
that's what my kids
that's
do.
for the kids. Yeah,
that's what they do.
Okay.
Oh, but it also applies to you right now, giving us an example of that in actual motion.
Correct. So,
like, we get a live, worked out example of that definition. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why we brought Jason Haynes on the show. Thank you so much. Thank you for that wonderful illustration. I'm glad the children were here to see that authentic frontier jerking around.
Oh, the children. Think about the children.
Oh my gosh, this podcast gibberish.
Well, as everybody does, and they all have genuine smiles, all the actors here portraying the townsfolk of Rockridge. Let's face it, this is a fun scene. They're all enjoying mixing together. And then we do get to the scene that is referenced in the example for definition 1 and 2 in Urban Dictionary about the Reverend. This is not in the script at all. This prayer. What happens in the script is after no deal, we hear,
Oh, prairie shit. Everybody.
Then Bart says, instead of Reverend Johnson, thank you. Okay, folks, let's roll up our sleeves and go to work. I don't know that would have worked as well as Reverend Johnson giving us what is very ironic for a preacher to say.
What did they just switch to the finished product after that?
All right, I'm glad you asked. The next scene, which I don't know why this would be even in the movie, but this is what comes next. We insert a camera shot to a huge piece of lumber. It's being lifted. There's a white arm that comes into the frame, followed by a black arm. The lumber now moves up a little bit higher. Now a yellow arm comes into frame. The lumber is almost off the ground. Then a big green arm comes in and everybody drops it, running away screaming. What the hell is that?
Green arm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess because people are classified by color. So black, white, and yellow are something, and then green comes in and green doesn't
Must be a
define
monster.
anything. Yeah, so they drop it.
We'll
and run.
accept everyone, or maybe it's the Irish. I don't know.
Oh,
Could be.
Maybe.
Like to use this time to plug Mighty Mix.
He was a Mighty Mick.
He was a Mighty Mick. The hell is that? It's Mighty Mick. I'm Mighty Mick, right in the trail.
Well, I'm glad they dropped that out.
I am too. That is just, when I read that, I was like, how did you not know that? That's just dumb. I get symbolically on the screen what they may have been trying to convey, that the lumber's so heavy, the white arm comes in, can't budge it by itself. The black arm comes in, now it moves a little bit higher. Now the yellow arm comes in, it moves higher still. But then here comes a green arm. They all drop it and scream and yell, what the hell is that?
All right.
So it's almost like you're trying to make a statement and then you kind of like lose the whole point of the statement because everybody runs away screaming because of yet a different color arm. Sort of runs in contrast to what the movie's really trying to say.
And the yellow, like the Chinese skin isn't actually yellow. So like what would a yellow arm look like?
Jaundice. I had that a couple weeks ago. I was very jaundiced. I actually, there was actually a period of time. Last week I was getting some pain on my right side and I thought I was having like a liver problem. And I went to the bathroom. I looked at myself and I thought I looked yellow. And I went around like asking me, do I look yellow today?
Oh my God.
I really, really thought I was yellow. Might have just been the lighting in the bathroom.
Someone plugged one of those bug lamps in, or the bug light. What do you call the bulbs, the yellow ones that you used to use?
He was wearing his shooting glasses.
This is
at the
what
time.
This is what my life is like, though. Like I'll get something like a weird pain somewhere, and I'll go to WebMD or Google, and I'll look it up, and I'll be like, oh, that's where my pancreas is, and then for the rest of the day, I think I have pancreatic cancer, and I'm dying, and I lose the whole day because I spent an entire day thinking that this is it. Like I start saying goodbye to everybody, like and then I wake up the next day and the pain's gone, and then I'm like, all right.
So what WebMD should always say is like whatever you type in, it should say it's probably nothing. Check back with us tomorrow.
Probably.
So then if you've got the same pain the next day, then it will actually tell you, okay, here's what it might be. I'm designing this app today. It's going to be called Walt MD.
Oh, okay. I like
and
this.
you type in your thing and I'll just go, you're fine.
No.
You're
Oh my
fine.
God,
Go
I just
about
thought of
your
it.
life.
Walt MD. Everything is written out phonetically as you'd say it. Nobody would be able to understand what the fuck they're reading until the next day when it would slowly decode itself into actual English.
That is good.
If there was Walt MD and I had to like pick up my phone and I type in symptoms to Walt MD, and then Walt gets like an alert and he has to pick up his phone and then type in a response to me, he would be going nuts in like 12 hours. Like, could you imagine like 3 o'clock in the morning, like, bling, bling. And he's like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. Kidney failure at 3 o'clock in the morning? Like, you're not in kidney failure.
Put down your phone, consarn it.
You may feel like 6 miles of bad highway, but you're fine.
Oh my God. You know what? That's funny because here's the thing. Maybe I just got an ear that I can hear anybody with an accent, no problem. I can understand as long as it's some version of English. My wife, who was raised in upstate New York, we used to be involved with the theater in town. And one day, one of the things that had to be done, and one of the city inspectors for the water department had to check the backflow valves for all of the pipes coming into the theater building. And I'm sitting there working on a set, and she's on the phone, and I'm hearing her say, I can't understand you. Can you say that again? And I hear her say it like 3 times. I'm sorry, I don't know what. Hold on. She comes over to me. She's like, can you talk to this guy? I don't think he's speaking English. And I go, hey, this is Alan. What's up? He goes, yeah, I tried to tell the lady I got to check the backflow in the back of the building, and I don't know what her problem is. I'm like, they just need to check the backflow. She goes, you heard that? I'm like, yeah, no problem. But she honestly, her ear, well, if you were like to get into one of your like down home moments of too much whiskey and and not enough sleep, yeah, she would not understand what you were saying.
I have to hear that version of Walt.
You almost have on many of these minutes.
We got one more coming, right?
Yeah, usually later in the recording session, right?
Well, the scary thing is when you said backflow valves, Jason was like, oh, crap, I've never checked that out before. He was on a WebMD seeing what a backflow valve was.
Oh, my God. I don't have those.
Did my doctor take a look at that last time?
Oh my God. Jason's looking up WebMD for backflow valve. Oh my God.
Actually, I have a physical on Thursday. Well, I don't know what day today is. Is it Tuesday?
They'll be checking your backflow valves.
Well, I'll have Walt MD set up by then, so when you leave the doctor's office, just type in whatever he said. And it'll immediately go to my Facebook Messenger, and I won't look at it until August.
Yeah, you're bad about that.
I just walk into the doctor's office and I see like people in the waiting room. And I'm like, you might as well just go get a coffee and come back later. I'm going to be in here a while.
Hey, Alan, I actually have something about the minute. So
Wait, what?
I wanted to,
Are we recording?
Oh, please tell me you guys are recording. I don't need to react all this out.
I got 20 minutes on the recording.
Oh, good. Okay, that's about where I am, so we're good. We were just at the point where the priest or the preacher here, Reverend Johnson, gives that really ironic phrase. We don't expect a preacher. That's what I think is always funny about some of the lines about.
Oh, Lord, do we have the strength to carry on this mighty task in one night? Or are we just jerking off? Amen.
I had a line before we dissolve to the next scene. Do you have something before that?
Yeah. You mentioned in the last minute how there's that distinct separation, that hard line between Group A and Group B.
Mm-hmm.
And after, one of the Johnsons says it's okay, then they all converge and erase that line between them.
They all came together.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I've always liked it, and as I said a few minutes ago, the actors all are really like there's no hesitation. It's instantaneous acceptance, joy, happiness. They're all working together, and it's like every bit of hatred or bigotry or anything that's ever been said wrong, thought wrong, is instantly vanished, and it's a nice little moment. And then that's why I think we get the joke of the priest with the "Oh Lord" just as they're all mingling. But no, it's great to see that line is visually as well as metaphorically erased at this moment.
It's almost as if they didn't have that prejudice in the first place. It's just they didn't like them because they were told they couldn't like them, because you wouldn't instantly warm up to somebody that you didn't like, right?
Right. But isn't that what a lot of people say is what creates the division among races is you're taught they're different than us. You can't trust them, or they're different than us. We don't mix with them. And it's a taught thing. It's not necessarily something you just, when you see little kids playing, if you just put a bunch of little kids together, all different races, they don't even think about it. They may even point out, why are you darker? Why are you lighter? Like, oh, that's just how I was born. Oh, okay, you want to make a sandcastle? And that's it. Yeah. It's like it's gone.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's what the media is doing in this country right now as we speak. They're telling you what you should be afraid of, what you should like, what you shouldn't like, what should scare you. Well, it's the same as what you should be afraid of, but And I think that's the biggest problem in this country right now.
The media.
The media is telling you how you should act. It's telling you, if you're a liberal, if you're on the left, it's telling you shouldn't like the right for this reason, right shouldn't like the left for this reason, you shouldn't like black people, you shouldn't like the Jews, you shouldn't like the Middle Eastern people.
The Irish.
The Irish, nobody messes with them.
Huh.
Alan, the guy in
Wait a minute, Alan.
Isn't saying anything.
Alan's going, wait a minute, the Irish, you say?
Did you not hear me go? Huh.
I don't know what that was. You know, my wife
that is
wanted to
your
name my
number
son.
one of your 3 options.
Okay.
That was really profound.
Hmm. Huh.
Do you know my wife wanted to name my kid Alan?
What does that have
Was
to
it
do?
was it you? Was it not? You know that Alan was her number one choice.
Yeah.
She was pushing to name. My wife is from Poland, and Alan's a very popular name in Poland. It's Alan, but
spelled Alan.
right. So she wanted to name my kid Alan, and I'm like, do you understand? We're not in Poland, so they're not going to call him Alan. They're going to call him Alan.
Right.
And she was trying to name our kid Alan.
And Jay said, I'm not naming my kid. That's a stupid name.
And
Oh, Jesus.
so, but actually, I didn't like it at first, right? So then one day we were having this conversation. I was like, you know what? I'm starting to come around to Alan. I actually think it's a good name. I was like, we could name him Alan. And I was like, yeah, Allen. And she's like, no,
that's a last name.
right. Well, then she goes, no, Alan. And I was like, I forget it.
Yeah.
No, but so she was hell bent on Alan. Like there was no change in her mind. That's what she wanted to name our son. So then I tried to talk her out of it because I didn't, whatever. It's a good name. But then I came around and I was like, all right, I was like, I'm really actually liking Alan now. I think we should possibly make that, a top consideration. So then we went to Thanksgiving dinner at my family's house. And we were all sitting at this long table, Thanksgiving, with turkey and cranberries and
We know it's a
Stuff.
Thanksgiving
Wait, what?
dinner.
What'd y'all have at Thanksgiving? That's weird.
cranberries. The band, they performed. We were eating our turkey with zombie.
That is an odd choice for Thanksgiving.
It's a band.
So we were. We were talking.
And aren't they Irish?
Yes.
So we were at Thanksgiving dinner, and everybody was saying, have you thought of any names for the baby? I was pregnant, and my wife says, yeah, we're thinking about Alan, and the reaction from my family was just everyone looked down, just got really quiet.
Did they go, huh?
Somebody went, huh?
And it wasn't option A?
No, so
It wasn't 1 or 2.
it was just it wasn't well received. And then we got in the car leaving dinner, and my wife was like, "Oh, I guess Alan's out." And I was like,
Wow. One bad Thanksgiving meal, you lose the best name you could have
Yeah.
given your child. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
So,
your fault.
was there any explanation for what somebody named Alan did to your family, or
No, I don't think anyone Alan ever wronged us in any way.
Wow.
But she didn't like that. She didn't want the name Alan. She wanted the name Alan. But she her friend who lives in Poland, right? Her neighbor just had a baby, right? So she names the baby. The baby's name is Leon. How would you all say
Leon?
L-E, Leon.
that? Leon, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I when Daria had the baby, I said, "Oh, Daria had the baby. What did she name it?" And she goes, "Leon." And I go,
Leon.
So Leon? She goes, "No, Leon." So it's Leon. No, Leon. So,
Leon.
so now all the time I say to her, how's Leon doing? No. I always say, how's Leon doing? She's like, it's not Leon's, Leon.
Do you want me to put him here or lay on the table?
lay on the ground and go to sleep already. Will you stop crying?
So I have to ask you guys something because I can't believe the number of times I've watched this movie. As the preacher asks the question, we get the amens and stuff, and it fades to black. We fade up to what looks like the town of Rock Ridge, but built like they just said. We're going to build the fronts of all the buildings and create a fake Rock Ridge. I think it was it was today that we're recording I finally realized this is a miniature set.
Oh. I was going to ask if this was the actual set that they used for Rock Ridge.
I always thought that until today.
No kidding.
This is a miniature set with just kind of like the stuff you use to build model railroads and stuff, all built into the background. This is not Rock Ridge that we're going to see.
So how did you find that? Did you read that somewhere, or you figured it out?
You can just tell by looking at it, and I never scrutinized this scene before. But yeah, this is actually a model of Rock Ridge, a miniature town shot close up. Because if you look, all of these buildings are literally like balsa wood thin. There's no depth at all. There's none, not to the roof lines, not to any of it. Once we see this establishing shot showing the fake Rock Ridge from behind, and we get to about second 37, and we hear Bart saying,
Okay, we have done it. Now let's see what we have done.
We're back in the real town, the fake, the Western town shot on the Warner Brothers lot, where they filmed everything. There's depth to the buildings. There's depth to the roof lines. All they've done is added a bunch of plants and sagebrush to make it look like they've built the town up in the middle of nowhere. And I took till today to realize that fact. Sounds like Walt just came to that realization too.
Wait, what were we talking about?
That was option C.
He's on option 3
right there.
I never realized that. I always thought that was the real Rock Ridge that they were.
Nope. Nope. I am just beside myself. When I saw that,
sense.
I froze it and I was like, well, yeah, exactly. I'm like Doug. I'm like, well, duh. Why would you need to build a real live scale set in the middle of the frickin' desert for one establishing shot? You just use the model. But it never entered my mind until today.
Nicely done, Alan.
Good job.
I love when I discover something about a movie I've seen probably 300 or 400 times. And
you've seen this 300 or 400 times.
I see this movie probably every couple of months. I'll just watch it.
Oh,
it's one of my all-time favorites. It is my favorite Gene Wilder movie, period. Just because of the message, just because of the themes, the music. I've always loved Westerns. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this movie for me.
Do you ever figure how much screen time Gene Wilder actually has in this movie?
Not much at all.
Yeah, it's not much. He doesn't even appear until like 33 minutes in.
Yeah, it's only a 93-minute movie, and he's a good 1/3 of the way into the film before we see him.
He's pretty consistent in it, though. I mean, he's not the focus, right? Because really, Black Bart is the guy.
Yeah,
he's just tagging along with him.
And there are a lot of scenes that he's in that he doesn't even have a line.
Mm-hmm.
He's just standing there.
The obvious 1974 camera they're using, you could tell is like it's positioned far away, but zoomed in on the crowd.
Yeah, it's a weird shot when we get the establishing crowd shot, the wide shot. Mel Brooks, this was the first time he ever shot with Panavision lenses, and it was the full 2.35 to 1 ratio, which was super, super wide. It was what you would use for a lot of these epic kind of movies. He only did one other film with that kind of a wide aspect ratio, and that was History of the World Part 1. He never did the Panavision again after that. It was just such a difficult camera kind of setup because it is so wide, and the lenses are just so hard to get the shots you want up close. But he wanted that for this. He wanted to try it out for this Western, this sense of these big sweeping vistas for the outside shots. I think it's a beautifully shot film most of the time. But yeah, it's a weird, almost like everything that is so, you only see in focus the people in the front, and just even right behind Bart, everybody starts to fade into blur, and it's really almost a weird shot here for this long shot.
Yeah.
And the people on the edges are kind of not as clear. I mean, it is
all
kind
out
of
of
a
focus.
weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I'm sorry, depth of field was it's so tight, that depth of field, that even just a few feet from where they move either toward or away from the lens will put them out of focus.
Right.
So it's great for certain shots when you want everything in the back to be really soft and not defined, but when you're seeing all these people, it's weird to have so many of them blurred when it's a mass crowd shot. You would think they would have used a different lens where it would kept everybody kind of in focus rather than just the front row.
Yeah, it's a small nitpicky thing, but it's just something that
Yeah.
I noticed.
Oh, I notice it all the time. Now, as soon as we have just that quick little long shot, I love this dolly shot. It starts off with Olson Johnson and Charlie, sort of a camera. Again, it's a low angle shot looking up, which is very sort of if you want to create the heroic look. It's you're always or an imposing figure. You always shoot up. Mm-hmm. So we've got the camera, and it kind of moves on a dolly over to Reverend Johnson. We see Howard Johnson, then Mongo. We've got the Waco Kid. We've got Gabby Johnson. We've got our hero, Sheriff Bart, and then Van Johnson, followed by Samuel Johnson, which is where actually the minute ends, is just that kind of sweeping dolly shot across some of our principal characters. I love it. I love the music as well. It's very much true to that Western feel. It doesn't sound like we're watching a comedy for that moment. And Walt, we talked about this every now and then. You look at the shot, if the sound was down or if you only had the music on in the background, you'd think you were watching a classic Western.
Yeah, you really would. It definitely has that effect. And I guess using the cameras that they're using too really does give it that Western flavor from, the 60s and 70s. And Charlie's funny to me. He has a friendly face all the time. Even in those scenes at the beginning when he was mad or disgusted, he just seems like a friendly guy all the time.
I really like when it dissolves from the crowd shot to being on Olson Johnson, who does have a very distinguished, and it's that face that we talked about a couple of minutes ago where Jason and Doug really didn't know a whole lot of the stuff that he'd been in, but they all said, I swear I know that guy.
Yeah.
He's just got one of those faces. And to have him and Charlie together, it's a great transition before we pan across everybody else.
Yeah, it is. Particularly being that just a few minutes ago, they finally had the two groups come together, and so now you have the shot with everybody mixed together. It's really a kind of a cool scene here.
Yeah, and for a moment with the music like it is, it makes you feel like that unity that was established through all of them working together, putting all their best efforts, everyone working hand in hand regardless of what they look like to achieve an objective, and they're all really proud of it.
Yeah, that they all have like a look of wonder and pride, and Gabby looks drunk.
Gabby's almost cross-eyed.
Yeah.
It's like a wide, the range of emotion like everybody's showing on their face.
I will point, Van Johnson does seem to be like, should I look like this? Should I look like this? Right. Like double checking.
Yeah.
Are we okay with this? Is this okay?
What's everybody else's face look like?
Or you could be doing the old where you're looking to make sure everybody else is still looking. Like, are we still doing this? Are we still doing this? Like when you're in church or something and people are standing with their eyes closed doing the prayer, you kind of open yours and be like, are we still standing here?
And that's where this minute actually is going to come to an end. So we've got this beautiful, beautiful shot. We've had a lot of fun with the minute, but it does end on that sense of unity. The music actually sounds it's a very Western sound, very real. It doesn't sound like, it's not cartoony. It's not silly. It's not like some of the other music we hear in other places. It really creates that sense of harmony for me.
Yeah, we talk on Rocky Minute a lot about music and how music sets the tone for everything, and music can also change the tone. It can make it go, you can have the same scene with two different songs, and it could be two different feelings you get from it, two different, totally different feels. But music plays a major role in movies.
Absolutely.
And this is evident right here.
And John Morris, obviously, who died only just a couple of years ago from our recording, had a huge career and a wide-ranging career. So he knew what he was doing and was deserving of the Oscar nomination for Best Song for the Blazing Saddles theme that he and Mel Brooks wrote together. All right, so as we've got one more minute with you guys, rather than belabor what's happening at the end of this panning shot, because we're going to continue that into tomorrow, we get you guys for Hump Day. But before we get there, we'll start with you, Walt. We'll stay in-house first. You guys, do you have any extra notes or anything that we didn't talk about?
No, I think we've covered it.
Okay. Doug, what about you?
No, we hit everything I had.
Jason, we know you don't take notes, but is there anything that you've thought of that we need to talk about?
No, we've hit all the bullet points that I had on my bullet point paper.
Good. Well, you learned from yesterday. I appreciate that. Aw. That's going to cover everything from me as well. Guys, why don't you, let's see, yesterday Jason did it. So Doug, how about you? How do people learn a little bit more about your podcast? You guys have done a Movies by Minutes. You've got a couple of seasons under your belt already.
Yeah, we have 2 full seasons of Rocky Minute. You can find us on iTunes or any other podcatcher. We have podcast pages on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter. Just look up Rocky Minute. But the real action happens at our listeners group on Facebook called Mighty Mix. I'm not going to rehash Jay's joke, but it's MICKS, Mighty Mix. That is the name of the gym where Rocky trains. So that's the name of our listeners group. So go on to Facebook, join Mighty Mix, and you can get in on all the fun over there. DuelingGenre.com, by the way, is our host website. And we can't thank those guys enough for having us on there.
Excellent. Walt, if somebody was listening on one of their podcatchers of choice, is there something they might do that might help others find us?
Something that might help is to go and give us a rating. If you like what you're hearing, if you wouldn't mind giving us 5 stars on whatever your podcatcher of choice is, whether that be the Apple podcast thing, Stitcher, Himalaya, whatever you're listening on, and then make a comment. The comments seem to help push us up the charts a little bit. So if somebody's looking for Gene Wilder or Blazing Saddles or whatever, they're going to find us. Also, if you want to go to waltmd.com for all your backflow valve needs, I encourage you to do that.
And I would recommend everyone come on back tomorrow. We've got these guys for one more minute, and we are going to start with the crowd gathering in Rock Ridge. We've still got we may have a problem here. I think Bart's going to figure something out that they're missing. And we're going to actually be in the midst of all of the bad guys being asked to take a pledge to Headley Lamar. But to get to what's happening tomorrow, you've got to join us tomorrow for episode 78 on this, The Wilder Ride.
Where are backflow valves?
In the back of your
Hold on.
back.
Can you bend over?
No.
Can you reach that? Can I get you to tie your shoes?
Nope.
Walt likes a Johnson in the backside. Okay.
Whoa.
Hey, there you are being judgmental again.
You heard it
Sorry.
here, folks.
Whoa. Hey, always open. Come on in. All right, you guys ready to do minute 78? Because we're already behind schedule. Yeah. Can you believe that we're behind schedule?
Shocking.
We're on 77? 77, right?
77. Is that what I did I say 78? I'm sorry, 77. Yeah. All right.
Did you ever see the movie The Internship, where one of the Wilsons, Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn, get an internship at Google? They're both old salesmen, and they're at the they can't get sales jobs because they're too old. So they apply for this internship at Google and they get it. Anyway, during the internship, they have to come up with a app at the end, like a sellable app. And the app they come up with is to stop drunk texting. So basically, it makes it more complicated. So when you're going to send a drunk text to like a girl, you have to type the message, but then it asks you to do some kind of task that you would need to be sober to do to prove that you're sober to let the message go through. So maybe I need something like that. Like I need something that when I go into WebMD, there's something to do that I can't do until the next day. So then I can't look at it.
Like some kind of firewall.
Right. Something like it won't let, like I go to put in the disease and it like my computer freezes for 24 hours. So that way I can't look it up.
But I was at lunch with one of my clients one day. And we're sitting there having lunch, and on the other side of the wall, I hear this commotion, and you can't really understand what the guy's saying. And he stands up and looks over, and he looks at me and he goes, "What the hell is wrong with that guy?" And I said, "I think he's foreign." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, probably."
Oh, probably.
Okay.
That explains it.
We would say foreign.
Foreign?
But it probably should be foreign because it's F-O-R, right? Foreign?
Foreign.
Is it a foreign?
Foreign.
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 It just
I
sounds
can't
like
wait.
It's taking too long to say.
Walt's going to get one more drink in him, and we've got one more episode to go. You guys, you got to come back tomorrow.
Why, is this one over?
No, it's not over yet. We're like 22 seconds into it.
Soon enough. Is that what you're saying?
Oh God.
So,
And she's dead. So let's have some.
Oh.
Oh. I'll cut that.
Anyway. So we were planning on working on having another baby, and if it's a girl, she wants to name the girl Kaya. Kaya.
Kaya's a great name. I almost named my dog that.
Hold on though. Hold on.
We have a son.
It's like Thanksgiving dinner all over again.
He just left.
Did he leave?
He was done.
Got up and left. So I can answer that. Yes, his son's name is Kyle.
Well, but there's no point in me telling you that because it's about him.
Oh, he's coming back.
Did he have to like blow his nose?
Where did you go?
My alarm system, one of my sensors isn't working, but it was like a stupid sensor. Like it's a window that no one's gonna break in.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, if they got in, there's a motion detector. So I just never got it fixed ever.
Oh, when it was beeping.
So it has like a trouble alarm. So every like at 8 a.m., 6 p.m., and 9 p.m. it beeps and you gotta go press the button, shut the trouble alarm off. And you're probably wondering, why don't you just get it fixed and not have to worry about it? We've been and every time it beeps like it just did, like you think about your home. You're laying on the couch, you're comfortably got a blanket on, then you have to get up, go downstairs, and do this button. It's fucking annoying. And every time it goes off, I'm like, I gotta get that goddamn fixed, And we, my wife is like, why don't you get that fixed already? I'm like, I'm gonna get it fixed because this is bullshit. We've been doing this for about a year and a half. For whatever reason, I just don't call ADT. I don't have to do anything. I just gotta call them, let them come, and just let them fix the fucking thing. You would think I have I'm supposed to build another house on the property or something. Like that's the monumental task that I've assigned to calling ADT.
Oh my God! I just realized, Walt, if somebody had like fast forwarded accidentally to like the last 7 minutes, they would have thought that this is the Rocky 3 season and they missed the open.
I don't know what happened there.
Folks, this is not Rocky 3. This is actually Wilder Ride. We're doing Blazing Saddles. This will be the episode she chooses to listen to, and I'll never be invited back again. What I'm going to get one of those, so you think you're funny.